Dog-eared comics. Always comics, all the time.
Hi, hello, and welcome to episode 2.
Episode 2 of the podcast.
You're here with Jordan Lowe.
And KJ.
And we're going to talk some comics today.
Huzzah! I like comic books. We can talk about this.
We're going to talk about a very specific character. You may not have heard of him. He's kind of an underground sensation. It's Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Poolie? Yeah, we're talking Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Well, this is our very first defining moment. So yeah, on this podcast, we're gonna have a couple different types of shows, and this was the one we said we're labeling it defining moment. We're talking about a specific character and what story best defines them. So it's going to be our personal take on our favorite Deadpool story, where we learned about Deadpool, what we think about Deadpool. So it's wall-to-wall Deadpool for the whole episode.
Huzzah!
So you like that? You're a Deadpool fan.
Yes.
You would consider yourself a fan.
Well, yes. Well, as you know, I've been buying the comics since the beginning. Since the very beginning.
The beginning meaning New Mutants?
New Mutants number 98. Yes, I had begun collecting the New Mutants on, I believe it was issue 6, and I never stopped. I went clear through till it hit X-Force, and then I stayed with X-Force until like issue 50 or something like that. And honestly, when the Deadpool miniseries came out, the original one, the Circle Chase, which I always kind of laughed and thought it was meaning something else, but because I was at that age where everything was a dirty joke.
Most Deadpools were.
Yeah, they were. But and then into the Mark Waid miniseries and the Joe Kelly run, and I've pretty much stuck with him. And I'll admit, until recently, I kind of quit buying. I'm kind of not digging the current Deadpool stories. I don't know. It doesn't hit me right anymore. Now there's a new series, the Spider-Man and Deadpool, which is pretty damn funny, but it's also written by Joe Kelly and everything. So he's the one that kind of started the whole comedic act. Well, actually,
so when you read that first issue, were you like, "All right, A Star Is Born"?
No.
Did it click with you, or were you like, "Ooh, Gideon, Domino"?
No. Honestly,
sensational new character finds of 1991.
Well, it's funny that you should say that because I had 2 copies of New Mutants number 98 at one point, and one guy offered me, and I can't remember the exact amount, but it was outrageous at the time. It was like $75.
Brand new off the shelf.
It wasn't brand new off the shelf. It had been out for like 2 weeks, but it was sold out everywhere. And I had gotten my copy off of a spinner rack because my comic shop at the time forgot to hold it back for me.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and that kind of upset me because I had never missed a New Mutants issue. And it was funny because he was all stoked on the fact that Domino was the new big character and that Gideon was the new big villain. Now, people nowadays may know Domino, but I'm about 90% of people do not know who Gideon is.
So this was the height of the speculator boom. We're talking 1991.
Yep.
Cable had premiered less than a year earlier.
That's unfortunate, yeah.
So, yeah, Cable, like, this was that era of big guns and pouches and, and buying multiple copies of every book.
All the variant covers or all the holographic covers and everything, yeah.
Unto this era, Deadpool was born.
Yep, and honestly, I said it's a good read, but then again, I'm going to just keep pushing New Mutants down everybody's throat because I love it. But Deadpool, he was a great intro to him with him attacking the school and everything. But I just thought, honestly, they're just going to throw this character away like they've done so many in the past. And it wasn't until his next appearance in X-Force, issue 2, I think is what it was, that I started to like him. I mean, he got his butt kicked by Kane, who was the new Weapon X.
Yeah.
But I started to like this guy.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, right. Anyway, it was in X-Force number 2 is when I started to actually kind of like Deadpool. And then when he got his own miniseries, like I said, I started following that along, and it just kind of grew from there. But yeah, I'm one of those terrible people that's like, you don't understand. I was there at the beginning. I was there when it first started.
Accidentally, through no purpose.
Exactly.
I went through recently because I loved Deadpool too, man. I loved him. I always loved him. I was like, well, when was I first exposed to it? I was trying to figure out when the first issue I would have read with Deadpool was.
Yeah.
and I couldn't figure it out. I went through there, online. You can look at things of publishing order. I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't reading New Mutants back in the day, so I missed that. I wasn't reading X-Force. Of course, I bought the first issue, but I never took it out of the plastic.
Yeah, of course not. It came with one of the X-Force trading cards.
I'm not a fool.
Yeah, it's going to be worth billions.
So I wasn't reading X-Force, and I'm like, I wouldn't have picked up that first miniseries. So I'm not sure how I knew about Deadpool, but when the first issue of the Joe Kelly run came out, I was like, I want to read this. Like, I don't know if it was like the art grabbed me or what, but
the art was cool.
Or if I just knew the character. I mean, he was never on the X-Men cartoon. Like, he was not in pop culture whatsoever.
He did make an appearance in the X-Men cartoon.
Did he really?
Morph. Whenever he's walking towards Wolverine at one point, he's morphing between everybody different.
Morph.
Exactly. He morphs into Deadpool in one scene and then morphs into somebody else.
I did not know that.
Me and my stupid knowledge. Yeah.
But I'm thinking maybe I had some of those trading cards with Deadpool, so I knew the character. So I mean, I don't know if, from what context I liked him, but I was like, he's a cool character.
Okay.
Just the look of him, the attitude.
Let's face it, the look of the look and the look of the look. Yeah. The guns and swords, and he wasn't afraid to kill somebody.
That's catnip to a comic fan those days. So I picked up the issue. I'm like, and it could have just been the fact that I bought every #1 issue.
Yeah.
These collector's items. It could have been that. But I remember wanting to read it. I looked at it and it was $2.95.
Oh yeah.
It was $1 more than they normally were, and I put it back.
You moron!
I was like, I'm not paying extra for that. Come on, they're trying to rip me off. And I walked around. There wasn't really anything else out that week. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying it, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
This is good. So I stuck with it. And I'm sure from there, then I went and found the miniseries that had been previously. So.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure it was after reading starting Joe Kelly's run that then I went back. So I didn't read them in order.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn more about the character, so I went and found Dollar Ben's, found those older miniseries.
I would like to point out that he said he decided to learn more and go back to the comics and not just let's Google search this, even though Google wasn't around at the time. But take notes, kids.
I invented Google, and then I learned how to Google.
There you go.
All right, so I was a Deadpool fan. I said not from day one, but at least from '97 when the series started.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I think it was '97.
And I collected that whole run up through issue 50 or whatever it was, and then they killed him or they threw him into Weapon X. Or
I'm going to say it was like 69, just because it's. I think it was 69 because then it became Agent X. It had the same cover as the last issue of.
Okay.
The Deadpool one, only it was Agent X in place of Deadpool.
And there were a few times I remember thinking about dropping it, and I know sales were bad, it was never a popular book.
No.
But I stuck with it. There was always something good enough that I enjoyed about it. I never got to the point where it was so bad that I was like, I can't take this anymore. But, I mean, I stuck with him for all those years. I said he was always a very cult character. He was never a superstar. He was never, not until very recently.
It was like 5 years ago. Suddenly you see hundreds of different Deadpool t-shirts popping up everywhere. And everybody's like, I'm a big Deadpool fan. I'm like, really? What have you been reading? They're like, what? So I'm in the cartoon. I'm like, no. But it was weird. It just kind of happened.
I read an article not too long ago where in the comments, it wasn't on a comic book site, but it was a pop culture site. And people were saying, when did that happen? What made all these Deadpool fans? And people were debating, was it the video game? Was it he was in that Hulk cartoon?
Yeah. All the Hulk versus, he was hilarious.
It didn't happen in the comic world. Comic people have always been kind of aware of him, but his sales were never great.
Yeah.
But when did he get out into pop culture? When you started seeing the T-shirts and the hats and everything?
Yeah. You know when it may have happened, honestly? And you're going to hate me for this, but it was a movie, Wolverine Origins. Ryan Reynolds being a smart aleck the whole time, and then when he got his mouth sealed shut, everybody's like, "What?" But I have a feeling that's when the pickup began.
I did have a customer tell me, I've been a huge Deadpool fan ever since Wolverine Origins."
Oh God!
Okay. And he said, "Well, no, hold on." He's like, he had heard who's going to be in the movie. The list of characters. And he's like, well, who's this Deadpool character? And it intrigued him. So he went back and started reading the books and things.
So it was the X-Men that got him into...
Yeah, it wasn't the portrayal of the zombie mouth shut.
Even though Ryan Reynolds did an excellent job, as he did an amazing job in the movie, I will say that the movie... I freaking loved it.
Thumbs up? Big thumbs up?
I got 2 thumbs and something else up. It was my big toe. What's wrong with you, man? No, it was freaking awesome. I loved it.
I don't know that I've heard a bad review for it, so...
No, it was great. Speaking of it, this movie may actually bring in more Deadpool fans to read comic books. So today, as you had said, we are going to actually focus on our favorite issue of Deadpool and story arcs that would get people into Deadpool.
What is for you the defining moment of Deadpool? Like that, it was hard to think because he's been in thousands of books now.
Yeah, oh yeah. He actually did a Deadpool issue 1000 recently, didn't he?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So for 1000 appearances.
He did that series that like counted backwards. He's like it was issue 900 and it was issue 999.
It was how many times he'd appeared in comics or something like that. Yeah, and he had appeared officially in 1000 different titles, not just Deadpool titles, but like Spider-Man and everything else. So yeah, there was that.
So do you have a defining moment for Deadpool? What is when you think Deadpool, what defines him for you?
Honestly, when I think Deadpool, my mind goes back, as I often do, because I'm like
drifting to sleep at night. You're like, oh, Deadpool.
More or less. But anyway, usually I'm wearing the costume. Anyway, I'm sorry, I have that imagination. But yeah, my favorite standalone that just defines him as him is Deadpool issue number 34. Joe Kelly had just left the series at issue 33, and we were all kind of worried because new writer and new artist on a book usually meant cancellation very, very soon.
Very soon.
And I loved Deadpool. Deadpool was just so much fun. And so when I heard that Christopher Priest was writing it, and I like Christopher Priest, but everything he wrote before that, it seemed like, it probably wasn't all of them, but it seemed like everything got canceled. As soon as he took over, it was up for like 3 issues, and then it was gone. So I heard he was taking over, and I was like, oh, come on, please, please, please. And as soon as I bought it off the shelf, the first page is like, there's a hole in the middle of the page, and there's Deadpool in the background carrying or dragging a big bag. And then the next page you turn
like a duffel bag,
like like a mail bag is what it looked like.
Okay, yeah.
It shows him pick it up and he throws it into this hole, and along the side of the bag it says everything that made this book work. And he goes, well, we're canceled. And I just started laughing at that. I was like, oh my god, that's beautiful. Excuse me.
It was all your fears. So it was all your fears.
Yeah.
In that first page, like they knew what you were thinking. So
it was
like, let's put it right. The elephant in the room. Let's put it right out there.
It was breaking the fourth wall, and the fact that as soon as he does that, he goes to this like little clubhouse, and he goes inside, and there's all these books, or the characters that have been canceled, and I'm pretty sure that most of them were like Christopher Priest and stuff. So it was like there was like Kazar and Sabu were in there, Power Man and Iron Fist from the Defenders thing. I think Hawkman and Hawkgirl were actually in there, and I'm just like, holy crap, it's a DC Marvel crossover. But it was all these things that got canceled, and the fact that they made the joke about it being canceled, it nailed it for me. I was like, he broke the fourth wall into many pieces. And then the fact that he runs back out and says, I changed my mind, and he dives into the hole after the bag, I just started laughing. And then that first story arc just nailed it with him getting the face of Tom Cruise, which I thought was funny as hell, and he couldn't get rid of it. I mean, there's just all these little things that happened after that, but that initial issue just amazed me.
So yeah, a more modern fan may not realize he didn't always break the fourth wall.
No,
he didn't always have that schizophrenic voice in his head.
Yeah,
when it started, he was just sort of a motor mouth.
Oh yeah.
And just sort of like ran at the mouth. It was like Spider-Man, just sort of a constant running commentary.
Yeah.
And it took an evolution. I said even in the miniseries, he was more of a smart aleck, but he wasn't really crazy. I don't know if
it felt like Mark Waid in his miniseries started the crazy.
Okay.
It was like underlying tones of things happening, just stuff that you're just like, that was a little weird. But Joe Kelly's the one who, sent it home, said this was the best part of that.
Yeah.
So we're going to take that and run with it.
And that's when he became a really unique character.
Yep. And like I said, I love the Joe Kelly run, but Christopher Priest run will always be one of my favorites of all time, just for that standalone issue. It just hit perfectly, and I mean, and it mocked pop culture. That entire story arc of his just mocked pop culture. I shouldn't say story arc. I should say the entire Christopher Priest run.
Yeah,
is like the first time where I saw they were mocking pop culture with the whole. They did. Spoiler alert. He goes to find out who the main villain is at the end of the first story arc, and it's Loki, and he goes, "You don't understand, Wade." And then the next page is a big close-up of him, and he goes, "I am your father." It was just hilarious. I just started laughing. And then after that, they did another whole thing. They did the silent issue from G.I. Joe, but the reason they did it was because he blew up a grenade, and it blew his eardrums, and they hadn't healed back for the entire issue till the very end. So that was kind of funny. I mean, they ripped on Lobo. It just ripped on everything. I loved it.
It definitely it allowed more experimentation, and like there's things you couldn't do with Spider-Man.
No. I mean, I think there's actually a scene there where in one of the Deadpool comics, I don't remember who wrote which story arc it was, but it was with Kidpool. Or not Kid. The kid Deadpool, the kid who could run super fast.
Whittle Wade or something?
No.
We're talking later.
No, is this guy, he was like a kid who could run super fast. That was his power. But he loved Deadpool, so he would dress up like him.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of the story arc or whatever, he runs up beside after he blows up Deadpool's house. And he's sitting there and goes, like, what are you going to do about it? And Deadpool just picks up a gun and shoots him in the head. And I'm like, this is like a teenage kid just got killed. That was funny. I don't know. But anyway, okay. I digress on that. Your turn, buddy. What's your first?
Well, we've said the name Joe Kelly an awful lot.
Yep.
I think for good reason. My defining moment, beyond actually buying the first issue and not putting it back on the shelf, that could be the defining moment.
Yeah.
When I actually stop being a cheapskate and actually paid for the comic. Mine is from that run. I said it's issue 4. Because issue 1... he goes to the Arctic, and Sasquatch is there from Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
And he gets paid to blow up a gamma research facility. Which, okay, if you've read comics about mercenaries before, the bad guy, doing right or doing wrong, whatever. Well, it so happens he's gonna do the job, get paid, and go home.
Yeah.
And Sasquatch says, if this blows up, everyone in the southern hemisphere is going to have cancer. This radiation is going to kill millions of people.
Yeah.
And there's this panel of Deadpool like, no, they're not going to suffer like I suffer. And it's like, it's a funny book and it's action packed and he's cutting wise and making jokes, but there's that moment of like darkness.
Yeah.
Where he's like, no, that's not happening on my watch, because you're reminded of the tragedy of the character, because there is tragedy.
Oh yeah.
So I think that may have been what made me buy issue 2. Because like, hey, this is a good story, but there's something more to it. He's not just a hero. He didn't do it for the right reasons, specifically, but it was a little bit of a selfish reason, whatever. So issue 2, he goes to the Taskmaster's school, where the Taskmaster is training all the henchmen.
Yeah.
He'd kidnapped Weasel, so he has to get Weasel back, and this was almost my defining moment. But, the Taskmaster, his powers are anything he sees, he can copy.
Yeah, photographic reflexes.
Yeah, so any battle, if he's any fighting style or battle. So what does Deadpool do? He starts dancing.
Yeah.
He does the Macarena. He does, and Taskmaster's like, what are you doing? This is no style I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
So Deadpool's so unpredictable, that's how he beats him. So I'm like, all right, I'm definitely buying issue 3. Like, I'm into this character now.
Yeah.
So 3, it begins kind of the romance with Siren.
Yes.
They find the Dr. Killebrew, who was from one of the original miniseries,
the
Weapon X scientist. So he gets his finger cut off in issue 2, and it hasn't grown back yet. So we're learning something's wrong with his healing factor. So they find the scientists from Weapon X, bring him back, and they say, oh, there's a way we can fix your healing factor. And Wade's like, of course, whatever it is, I'll do it. So you learn in issue 4, he needs the blood. Gamma, because it happened in issue 1.
Yeah.
The gamma radiation has screwed him up. So he needs gamma blood. Where are you going to find gamma blood? Bruce Banner. So Deadpool has to fight the Hulk. He can't win a fight against the Hulk.
Of course.
He's never going to win that fight. But that issue, I don't know what it was, because I'd read at that point hundreds of fights between Marvel heroes.
Yeah.
And they're stale. They're the same,
Yeah.
Then we buddy up at the end.
Yeah.
But there's something different about this one. And what may have been it is the Hulk was on an island at that point. I think it was tied into whatever story was going on. Heroes Reborn or
No. Was it right after the Onslaught thing?
Onslaught, right. Yes,
Okay.
Onslaught. So the Hulk has his own problems. He's living on an island, all sad. Deadpool parachutes onto the island, and coming out of the airplane, he yells, "Spoon!"
Tick reference.
And I was like, oh, you're referencing the Tick.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? So that won me over a little bit. So, yeah, he's fighting the Hulk, and there's all these pop culture references. I said, that is such a thing now.
Yeah.
In this post Kevin Smith world, like every movie has references to other movies.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't as common back then.
No.
So to have a comic book character, not even breaking the fourth wall, but talking about Tom Cruise and like making all these references, referencing the Tick, like it was so fresh and new and cool.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. There was something about it. Just the humor really clicked with me. And then he ends up, he slices into the Hulk, but he heals so fast he can't get the blood out. So he finally maneuvers the Hulk around and gets him to jump way high into the air to really smash him.
Yeah.
And he moves a rusty pipe. It was a street sign. And he moves it. He's like, "You're gonna land." So when he lands, he impales himself on the street sign, and they put a censored panel.
Yeah.
So they didn't show it impaling him. It was like for our more sensitive viewers.
Yeah.
So Deadpool basically beats the Hulk and gets what he needs.
Yeah.
Teleports home and gives him a big middle finger on the way out the door.
Yeah.
Like that to me, I was like, that was a moment I'm like, I'm gonna keep reading this book till it's over. Like, that really got me right there.
Oh yeah. There's so many little moments like that that just punch you in the gut and you're like, oh, this is amazing. When you're talking about like him fighting the Hulk, it's funny because like towards the end of Daniel Way's run, he goes up against all these villains like the leader and all the stuff they've all gotten together to fight the Hulk. Deadpool shows up, kicks all their butts. They're in like a submarine, and he goes, "You guys are such idiots. I figured out how to beat the Hulk 5 minutes ago." And they go, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, you just slap an anti-grav pad on his back, or an anti-grav disc on his back, so he levitates 3 feet off the ground, and you walk away. He can't do anything." And it just looks like every one of the villains, their hearts just broke. Like their one goal to defeat the Hulk, and they've never figured it out.
Yeah,
Deadpool figures it out in 5 minutes. And so I was like, see, Deadpool's just fun. Okay, so if you were going to get some new fans interested in Deadpool, which stories?
Well, I said this Joe Kelly, that's almost where it begins and ends with me. Like when he left the book, I never really read more Deadpool after that. I mean, he would pop up in different things, but I said he was never a huge guest star to the BN. He was popped up in Wolverine and a couple of different things, but he was never as ubiquitous as he is now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness went 33 issues from 1997 to 1999. I've talked about the first couple. There's Siren was a big guest star in there. We had Typhoid Mary, Daredevil, the Great Lakes Avengers, Bullseye. I mean, we had some great storylines. The one of the classic ones is he gets thrown back in time.
Oh yeah,
into the Spider-Man issue.
Yeah.
So they used actual John Romita art.
Yeah.
From an old '60s Spider-Man, but replaced it with Deadpool's word balloons.
Wasn't that issue called something like "With great power comes great coincidence" or something like that?
That sounds right.
I love that. That was fantastic.
So yeah, we're talking about taking these kind of chances that a normal character usually can't. So there's an omnibus. There's a Joe Kelly omnibus.
Yep.
And it would take up the first 5 volumes of Deadpool Classic. So those 33 issues, to me, define the character. They are the groundwork that led to what he is now and where he became.
Yeah.
I also dug Uncanny X-Force, Rick Remender, back in 2010. The main artist was Jeremy Opeña, and then Phil Noto, and a couple. There were a dozen artists on the book, but because I wasn't too into Deadpool as a cartoon character that he's sort of been lately, where every time he shows up, it's a big joke, and that Uncanny X-Force dialed him down a little bit, and allowed that darkness to kind of come through on things. You were reading that?
Yeah, I read the X-Force one. One of my only complaints was he wasn't quite funny enough in that. I mean, I liked him in it because he was that dark Merc again, but he didn't. I mean, and he was a smartass. He was, boom boom one-liners, but. I don't know why, but I guess I was spoiled on like the Joe Kelly run and everything, where he is kind of funny every time. But
yeah, this is a different take for sure. But for a serious take, is probably the best.
It was really good. It was really good, and plus you got to see his sensitive side in that too with the little boy Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Which
when Deadpool is like the voice of sympathy or the voice of mercy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shocker right there. But it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, but that one lasted 35 issues. Those are all in trades, too.
Yep.
And they were snazzy gray suits. So if you see, the bobbleheads and things, Deadpool's dressed in gray and black. That's thanks to the X-Force.
I have the Marvel Legends gray figure.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked about that.
It's a pretty good look. I liked it.
Yeah.
They all color coordinated. And I've just got a couple more that I was trying to think. I was like, I know there's some single issues that he appeared in Wolverine for an issue or two, and those were good. I was like, but the one I really liked, I couldn't remember what it was. It was a Spider-Man issue. I look it up. Guess who wrote it?
Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly wrote it.
Of course.
So Amazing Spider-Man 611 had an awesome Scotty Young cover where Spider-Man is decked out in a bunch of pouches and a giant gun, and Deadpool's like, thumbs up. He loves his look. But it's just kind of a standalone issue. I'm sure the price has gone up lately because of Deadpool, but if you can find it, you should. It's Spider-Man 611. It starts out, Spider-Man's finding Lady Stiltman.
Yeah.
And he's questioning, like, why are you calling yourself Lady Stiltman? It makes no sense. So Deadpool is hired to kill Spider-Man.
Doesn't he tells him a dirty joke or something like that at one point?
It ends up, they battle it out. They've been fighting all over the city, and it ends up with Yo Mama jokes.
Yes.
So they start throwing Yo Mama jokes back and forth until it all ends. But that to me was a standout single issue to Mr. Joe Kelly again. And the current storyline going on, Spider-Man Deadpool, written by
Joe Kelly. And backed with Ed McGuinness again from the series.
Yep, they re-teamed, and
it's fantastic.
I said I haven't been reading a ton of Deadpool recently, but when I read that first issue, like I literally laughed out loud, which I don't often do.
Yeah.
But there were some jokes in there that were just funny, flat out funny.
Oh yeah.
And it just really worked for me. And there's 3 issues out of that so far, so it's just started. But I'm digging it a lot.
The whole joke about him unsheathing his katana if Spider-Man kept wiggling his hips, I honestly just lost it. I couldn't stop laughing at that.
But you have like a photographic memory for this stuff, so I'm sure you've got some good recommendations.
Well, I thought about it and stuff, and I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to choose story arcs that you don't need to know all the background and history of them. For fans just coming into it, what would be a good Deadpool read?
That would be appreciated.
Yeah. So, all right, I chose a couple here. Story arcs. All right, the first one I would recommend is Cable and Deadpool, issue 43 through 50. It was called Alone Again, Naturally. Now, I don't like Cable. I have never liked Cable.
They always call them the odd couple of Marvel comics.
Yeah.
Like the stoic warrior and the funny motorman.
Yeah, I just, oh God, I hate Cable. Another Summers just needs to be killed. Anyway, during the story arc, Cable is believed dead. So the entire last, 7-8 issues of Deadpool and Cable was Deadpool teaming up with other characters in the Marvel Universe.
I remember that.
And the first 2 issues is him and Wolverine, along with Bob, Hydra Bob. We love Hydra Bob, who's like an ongoing member of his team, of his posse. And then it's with Doc Strange, with Captain America, with the Fantastic Four, with Brother Voodoo. And in issue 50, he teams up with all the Avengers to fight the Venom symbiotes that came from space or whatever and attach themselves to dinosaurs. Anyway, it was great. It was fun. And it was written by Fabian Nicizi. How do you say his name?
Fabian Nicieza.
Okay, close enough. Yeah, we'll go with that. And the art was Riley Brown. I'm sorry, dude. I honestly don't know how to say your name. But the artist was Riley Brown. And it was just straight up fun, constantly. The next one I would
Those all
recommend...
had great covers, too.
I think they were all... they were somebody famous. So much from my photographic memory.
Yeah, it wasn't Scotty Young, but it was very stylish.
Yeah, it was very rough and jagged. It was amazing.
Yeah, they stood out really well on the shelves.
Very visceral. But yeah, those are fun. They're just straight up fun stories with Deadpool. And that's kind of what you want, starting off with Deadpool. The next one I would recommend would be is Deadpool issue 65 through 69 of the Volume 1 series. It's the first arc with Gail Simone. And I love Gail Simone's Deadpool.
She was only on a very short time, but she made her mark.
Oh, yeah. 65 through 69 is called Healing Factor. And he ends up joining like Agency X or something like that. I'm trying to remember the exact stuff. All I remember really was that Deadpool was rolling in the cash, and at one point he turns Rhino into a keychain by putting a hole through his horn when he shrinks him down.
He miniaturized the Rhino.
Yeah. And he starts to have this like little... fling, or at least you assume it's a little fling, with a character named Outlaw, little cowgirl. She was amazing. But there was that going on. I mean, and they're all like teaming up to go up against this character named the Black Swan. And you just got to read it because the ending of it, I'll just tell you what he says at the very end of his. Now that's funny. And the way it ends is just makes you shake your head and go, what? But anyway, I would recommend that one. Deadpool Volume 2, Issues 1 through 3, The Secret Invasion, is written by Daniel Way. Basically, Nick Fury hires Deadpool to take out the Skrulls. And because the Skrulls are invading Earth.
And one of those huge crossovers or the whole Marvel Universe was involved.
But what he was sent in basically to find a way to bring them down. This is when you find out that Deadpool is actually a genius when it comes to strategy. I mean, he's funny, he's destructive, and everything like that. And they've always kind of hinted that he's a genius, or he's really smart when it comes to strategy. But in this one, he knocks it out of the ballpark. And now I'm going to say one of my favorite lines from that. And don't worry, it will be censored. But even though I'm against censorship. But for you, I'm going to censor it. And it's at one point, he drops down on the Skrulls with a gun in their face that says, "How do you say, oh, in Skrullese?" And I just started laughing. And then the final one I'm going to mention here real quick is there's a 12-issue maxi series, which I'm pretty sure is probably supposed to be ongoing at the time, but it got canceled. It was Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth, issues 1 through 12. Victor Gischler, I think is how you say his name. But basically, to make it real simple, there's lots of sexual innuendos. There's Kazar, Sabu, AIM hires Deadpool. There's Zombie Deadpool from the Marvel Zombie Universe. And it just goes crazy. They end up going to the Zombie Universe at one point. It's off the wall fun. And as I said before, I intentionally avoided like Joe Kelly because as good as that is, you have to really sit down and read through all of it. It seems like all of his issues feel like standalones, but they're all connected. Whereas these ones are just like little fun, like, here you go, enjoy this.
And those are, I think, a better representation of the modern Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like if you've seen the movie, if you know him from other media, that will be the most familiar to you.
Yes.
Let's say the early stuff is the building blocks. Like if you read those old '90s miniseries, they're interesting historically, but they're not terrific.
Yeah, and honestly, this was actually a really difficult one for me to put together. When you said pick one defining moment for Deadpool, I was like, what? And pick just one or two story arcs for
I refuse.
fans.
I quit the podcast.
Exactly. I was like sitting there scratching my head. I when I finished, I had like 20 ideas. So, but.
Well, hey, thanks for doing it. I think we've scratched the surface barely, but I think we've done some good work here.
Yeah, this rash is really starting to itch anyway. So,
so that's our Deadpool episode. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have more to say next time.
Oh, next time I think we should do something different. It'll be really fun and crazy.
Oh, okay, I will make a note of that.
Ah.
Fun and crazy.
Here's a grenade.
It's written down. Well, I'm Jordan Lowe.
I'm KJ.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Cheers.